Hi, it's Kamon Reynolds, and in this video we're going to get into a few of our colonies over here. If you followed us for a while, we have our package versus nuke challenge. This was set up just so you kind of could see what it would be like if you got 2 nucleus colonies and 3 packages. And so we installed these 3 packages we're fixing to get into. We installed them April 2nd, and we installed our nucleus colonies from our own bees and our own queens the 3rd week of April. Now those colonies over there were splits off of our nucleus colonies, and if you follow our package versus nuke challenge, which I'll leave up here, where we install all these, we feed them, we show you how to draw comb better with them, we show you how we split them or requeen them or whatever it is. You can find that in that playlist, so check that out if you would like. So let's get into the packages. We'll get into these colonies in another video, but if you followed the playlist, you know that we had big problems with these 2 commercial packages over here. This one just went completely queenless on us. There was no super seizure cells, nothing. We just get into it after I hadn't been into it for a few weeks, and there's a little bit of brood left over, but there's no attempts at making a new queen. And some colonies will do this, but it's not very common, especially if you have a good quality bee. I think that's some of the issues with the commercial line. Also, this one here, it didn't kill its queen or lose its queen, but it just would not grow for anything. And in order to get these colonies to accept the new queens that we raised, we had to add brood to them from the nucleus colonies. And everything you see over here has been kept in here. We haven't been adding brood from other colonies in our bee yards. And it's actually, I think, been tougher for these original colonies because we've had so many colonies over here. There's a lot more food pressure. So I just want to get into these. It's January. Usually we're not doing this time of the year, especially in a t-shirt, but in Tennessee we have interesting weather. We just get whatever we get when we get it, which makes a whole lot of sense, I know, very profound. Let's get into these colonies. So we're going to start over here, and I'm going to show you a couple different things. We fed this one Mountain Camp Sugar because it was a little light on stores. This was the best of the packages, but we still ended up requeening the colony because she was showing some signs of poor laying in fall and late summer, and it's a terrible thing to have a poor queen going into winter. So all 3 of these packages now have our queens. Now many people have asked me about the double bubble insulative lids, and if you check this out right here, you can kind of see the impression where the box has been and the lid's been pushing down on it. It seals the edges and helps keep that heat in, so that's really nice. I have a lot of colonies that are doing fantastic without it, but again, we are in Tennessee. If you're in a really cold area, they can really be helpful. And here in Tennessee, I think they can be helpful too, and the price point is really nice. You can make 2 of them easily for $1. And helping your bees stay warm during the months when they're brooding up is very helpful to the colony. I think insulative stuff is more useful in extreme areas, but we'll be experimenting with that more in the future. I have some colonies right now that are, well, these colonies are the same way. There's no upper entrance. They're doing fine. I think it's more about the size of the cluster and having plenty of this in the hive. All right, now look at all that honey right there. That is so important. Whew, I about got stung. That right there is going to help this colony continue to grow. They've got to have plenty of food. Coming out of winter into spring, or in Tennessee, we do most of our pre-spring brooding in winter time. And we've got to make sure there's plenty of nutrition here and that the bees are in good shape, or we're not going to get a lot of brood produced, and then we're not going to have a nice honey crop or be able to make splits. All right, let's go ahead and just go right here to the middle and see if we're getting any brood in the center of this nest. And it would make sense that the brood would be in the middle because they're going to be able to keep it much warmer than those outer edges. So let's just go ahead and dive into this frame right here. I need to give them a little bit more smoke. They're a little, and so you can kind of see some of the bees coming off the combs after me, and it's just that time of the year. There's not a lot of work for them to do. All right. Oh yeah, you can just see how the bees are around the combs, that there's brood down in there, the way they're clustering it up. Oh, yep, sure is. Look at all that capped brood right there. You know, it's not a perfect frame, but hey, it's the middle of January. We'll take it. And the reason I'm mic'd up, if I haven't said, is because it is pretty windy. Now check this bee out right here. See that fuzzy bee? Oh, there's multiple fuzzy bees. They're hatching out. This colony's doing a little bit of growing. Man, isn't that awesome? This is early. Usually we see this in February. Oh yeah. Look at all that capped brood under there. That's great. But just remember, if they start running out of nutrition, then this colony could go backwards. Now some people are going to ask me what a colony like this needs. Well, one, they need at least 3 deeps of honey for a colony this size, in my opinion. So if you don't have 3 deep frames with honey on them, then they need a little bit of feed. And this one has some towards the outer edges, but I think they're going to need a little bit more. Okay, wow. There's a lot of bee bread over here. This is a lot of the equation. You can have all the honey in the world, but if you don't have protein and fats and all those minerals, then that's not going to be any good. Now, I don't recommend you doing this in wintertime. I mean, you can, but I'm just going to shake this off. I didn't see the queen on there. See this bee bread down in here? Look at that. Multiple collars. This is so important. I thought they were clustered like there was brood in there. Look at all this down here. Can you see that brood? All those larvae? That is crazy. But that bee bread is so crucial. If they don't have enough of it, then that's going to be an issue. Now, our bees were gathering dandelion pollen just day before yesterday, and there's probably some dandelions they're getting some stuff from, and the way things are looking, the maple pollen will be here shortly. However, we got to watch out. What happens if we get 2 weeks where the bees can't fly and they run out of nutrition? They're going to cannibalize some of that larvae. And that's why many beekeepers like myself usually at this point start giving a little pollen patty to the colony to just try to help smooth out what nature is bringing in, because many years it's unnecessary. But then there are some years where it makes a really big difference, because if they get that cold period and they start going backwards because they've run out of protein, then you lose a lot of brood and bees, and that really impacts when your colony is going to be large and ready to bring in all of that honey. All right, there's a lot of brood down in here. It's all young stuff, eggs and young larvae. We're just probably going to go ahead and close this up. Yeah, there's capped brood over here. Yeah, this is great. Let's go ahead and get these bees closed up. And there are many people that will tell you that you shouldn't open your bees in winter. I am very comfortable opening colonies in the 50s, no problem. Now you can't just be opening them up for long periods of time. There's a little bit of eggs down in there. Not much over there. So I really think this colony needs a little bit more feed. A sugar brick would be good. We probably should have given them a little bit more sugar syrup in fall, but I did not. And they have burned through a lot of resources. And that's one of the things that we deal with here in Tennessee, is this year's been so mild. Our bees have been able to fly most of December and most of January. And because of that, I really think they burned through resources unnecessarily, because they're just getting out, looking around, because bees are constantly looking for a way to bring nutrition into the hive. And, ooh, raspberries. Ouch. All raspberries. That is funny. But yeah, they're constantly going around looking for any type of nutrition they can get, whether it's good or not. And they will bring in stuff that's actually harmful to the hive if there's nothing better to get. And there are pollens out there that are actually poor or detrimental to the colony. And that's why you're going to see bees that are going after chicken feed and bird seed and all kinds of stuff, because they're just desperate to help their hive out. And that's why sometimes feeding a little supplement can be useful to the colony. These bees are not in the mood. So this colony over here towards Laurel, I really want to show you that one. I peeked into it earlier, and I was really liking what I was seeing. All right, we're just going to glance into this one real quick. You can see how I already popped the lid. All right, so we're just going to pull all of this off now. I haven't really noticed a big difference with the insulated boards, but it's been so mild this year. We're not going to dig down into this one. We'll dig down into the next one. But I wanted to show you this with the Mountain Camp Sugar We didn't soak it quite enough on this one. And you can see how there's some brick, but there's also a lot of granulated pieces in the center. This is one of the problems with sugar bricks. If they don't get enough moisture, then they're going to stay in granular pieces in the center. And as the bees are digging through all that, it's just going to break apart, fall down in there, and if it gets on the bottom board, they just kick it out of the hive. They might get a little bit of it, but most of it, they're just going to kick it out of the hive. Now, get down in there, bees. We'll skip over to this next one. Get a little bit of smoke in there. All right, I can't believe this though. It's just been so mild and very wet. And the bees have just been running around looking for anything they can. One of the neighbors came over and said, hey, they've been all in my bird feeder. You know why they would do that? And I'm like, yes, I do. Usually it's too cold this time of the year. All right, so I smoked them down really good. Let's go ahead and pull one of these edge frames and get towards that center of the brood nest and see where we're at. And keep in mind, even if these colonies just produce one good frame of brood, if it's all the way full, and you might have 2 or 3 frames that are just partially filled, which is much more common than one solid frame. There's some honey. Show me the honey. Then that's going to help the colony so much. Those new bees are going to revitalize the colony because they're young and they can provide more warmth for more larvae. And also, I mean, the bigger the cluster, the more potential brood production. So this frame's got a lot of honey in it. Let's go ahead and skip right here to the center and see what we've got. Let's get this one over. But yeah, check out the playlist if you'd like. All right, got some brood for sure in this one. I'm seeing a decent, I'm seeing capped brood on the next frame over. Wow. Oh, there's the queen right there. She's looking for a place to lay. And all this capped brood right here, it looks in the advanced stages. And the way she's laying probably means that it's hatching out and that she is looking for places to lay where they've hatched out. Boy, I wish she would just go down there and lay. Let's go ahead and move on to the other side. Oh, maybe she'll do it. No, I think I've rattled her a little bit. Oh, look at that brood right there. Boy, that's nice. So if we can just get all of these to hatch out and help out, this colony is doing some growing. Let's check the next frame over and see what we've got to work with. All right, there's the queen back in there. Keep in mind, these queens are from our own operation. Had to replace those commercial queens that gave us all kinds of fits. These colonies would be a lot stronger if they had just started out with a good queen in the first place. But things happen, and that's just part of agriculture. All right, oh, let's shake this one off so you can get a really good visual. We'll have to be quick. All right, check that out. Let me know when you can get that, Laurel. There is larvae all in there. And they are beautiful, but they're also at a critical part of their development. And it's going to take a lot of bees to keep them warm. You know, it's about 60 degrees right now, so this isn't too bad. We won't want to keep them out very long. Laurel, can you see that yet? Awesome. And there's just eggs all on this side. You can see the bee bread. Let's go ahead and look at that real quick before we stop the video. But every one of these is so important to our honey production. Here we are in January. If we can keep this forward momentum going, then, I mean, this colony is going to add 2 or 3 more frames of covered bee coverage with all this brood hatching out. Now that's going to be about 3 weeks from now before this stuff right here starts hatching out, or emerging from the cell rather. But all this bee bread right here, honey, it's all so important. And just think about it, it's January. And then we have February where they'll be brooding up as well. And at that point we'll have the maple pollens, we'll have henbit, dead nettle, we'll have so many other things. And then in March when, oh man, the French Phacelia, snowflower, I'll show you some pictures of those because they are gorgeous. And in areas where you don't spray a lot of herbicide and a bunch of junk, then you can have just creek banks and all kinds of hollows full. I mean, just acres and acres of those beautiful little humble flowers, and they produce a little bit of pollen, and they produce really nice early nectar for the colonies. And then there's the wild cherry trees, and let me tell you, you want to talk about some bitter nectar. I got Laurel to try it one time. She didn't know, and she was not happy with me. So not all honeys taste the same. Wild cherry, thankfully, it's in late March, early April, before the bees really start socking it away. Most of that little bit of nectar they're getting right there is just used for brood development and growing the colony, and well, for energy needs to warm the brood and fly and all that kind of stuff. So, thankfully that cherry nectar doesn't get in there, because it is, wrinkle your nose, bitter. So not all honeys are the same way. But anyways, I just wanted to show you our package versus nuke challenge, where we were. The colonies are brooding, and these are little colonies, by the way. And they're not babies like a little 3-framer or a 5-framer, but they're not like our champs, which literally have 16 frames of bees, and some of those folks I think are quite a bit larger. So I say folks, some of those hives are 2, 3, 4 frames of brood going, and it's very unusual. Usually this is happening about the second week of February. So every year is a little different. Thanks for watching our videos. Check out our playlist if you have any questions, because we probably have an answer in the videos, but if not, leave those questions below. Thanks.